Hey, what is going on, you guys? Interesting here, bringing a video today. And today, in this video, I'm going to be discussing the lore behind the Devil Splicers. Yes, the fallen army in the Rise of Iron, the one who are using Siva to augment themselves, rebuild themselves and use it against us. But I'm going to be discussing how they found it and, well, not really how they found it, but how they came to using it. So, if you don't know what a splicer is, within each house, within each fallen house is a secret collective of scientists and bioengineers devoted to the evolution of their species. They find tools for advancement or survival. So the splicers are sent out to find tools for the house's advancement, to make them have a better home. And they still look, and they are secret, so we haven't seen these before until we came to know about the Devil Splicers. Now, these little piggies, the Devil Splicers, found a nanotechnology, Siva, the thing that was locked away by the Iron Lords for years. And so they brought it to the House of Devils to say, hey, look, this is now the means to become machines to separate us from the ether. Now, many of them saw it as, a relic, a new god to worship. And now, but the Devil Splicers saw it as different. They saw it as an opportunity to become machines, to separate them from the ether, to rebuild the House of Devils now, because I don't know if you remember, but yeah, we pretty much destroyed their house, you could say, because we took out their Archon and their Prime Servitor, and the Prime Servitor is really important. That's why they desperately struggled to get it back, because if you don't know what one of the servitor's job is, it is to they hold the ether. Now, that is a very important thing to the Fallen, because if you don't know what ether is their life force, it's their nutrients, it's how they grow their limbs, all of that. And that's why a Prime Servitor is really important. Now, you might have seen, if you've been playing Destiny for a while, whenever Fallen are around a Servitor, then they glow a void color. That is the Servitors giving the Fallen the nutrients of what they need of the ether. But the Devil Splicers saw this as a means to no, we don't need that anymore. We don't need ether anymore. And we're not going to use it to create machines. We're going to use it on ourselves to separate us from, actually needing any Prime Servitor and becoming invincible, you could say. Now, so they started experimenting on themselves and started to make themselves become machines, started to see what Siva could do. Now, the thing is, these Devil Splicers were lone wolves. They were the odd ones out, the ones who, they wanted to use Siva. The other fallen houses wanted to worship it. That was not until Axis came along. Axis decided to, you could say, help the Devil Splicers, and even saw this as their opportunity to grow. And he grew used Siva's hypothesis and emerged himself as an Archon Prime. Now, there was probably a political uprising through the Devil Splicers now and the House of Devils. So, what did they do? Well, Siva has the ability to resurrect and rebuild things, and they resurrected Sepix Prime, like Shiro says, as an offering to the other devils. And that's where the House of Devils sort of began their experimentation and all that, and they just kept their prime servitor because the other House of Devils might have refused to separate themselves from the ether, you could say. Now, so they had others to follow, and the Vanguard intercepted a transmission as well, talking to the other houses. Now, it's very rare for the other houses to chat with each other, like on their, like magical fallen chatty things, like we have phones, I don't know, because you could say at war, but not at war. Like, they don't not like each other, they don't not want to work together. If it had to come that way, if it was to them getting their traveller back, like the Battle of Twilight Gap, they all came together apart from the House of Wolves, because the Queen had seen to that, to get their machine back. Well, I call it their machine, their great machine as they called it, back, and wanted to use it against their world when destroyed as their light years galaxy. But us Guardians are stopping the Fallen and stopping them from getting the great machine back, because we've been told that these Fallen are evil and they want their traveller and they're part of the darkness and we should go kill them, so they decide to kill them back. And then they found Siva and thought it has an opportunity as well to, I don't know, regain the machine, like get through the Guardians with Siva. Like, it was an easy method now. And as I was saying about the transmission, it was about getting other Fallen houses to follow them, like fellow houses, fellow Elixni. We have found the means to the apotheosis, the means to become machines, to separate you from the bonds of ether. So no longer needing this life force, becoming invincible, rebuilding themselves. And that's what Axis did. Axis is the fruit of the Devil Splicer's labour. A former Arkham priest, Axis has submerged himself into Siva's apotheosis and emerged as an Arkham Prime. And he just separated his skin and is building himself. That's what these splicers do. They build themselves, build their limbs, and that's what pretty much how you know a Fallen's high in command, because they have lots of limbs. Yeah, I know. Weird. Which is what they use the ether for, I think, to grow their limbs. Now, anyway, so they thought this could be an opportunity, and they went to build an army. And now he awaits in the Perfection Complex, waiting for the offerings of Siva from the other Fallen houses who wish to ascend into godhood. Fallen. Now, he contacted all the other houses, House of Kings, House of Winter, House of Wolves even, maybe, House of Exile, and because he just wants to build an army, and is getting an opportunity to the other Fallen houses for an opportunity for them to build an army. Now, with this amount of manpower, they could bust through the city's walls, especially with the siege machine could destroy the walls, and they could be unstoppable and bring the city to its knees. But that's not going to happen, because we brought the fight to them first. We went into the Wrath of the Machine raid to stop, deep in the Splicer's Den, entered the Perfection Complex to stop Axis and his devilish experiments. Now, before we did this, it wasn't the Fallen they tried to get experimented with. I honestly do not know why, but they had an interest in experimenting and augmenting the Hive as well, because we had a new strike where they augmented with ogres. Why are they hunting ogres exactly? I do not know, but they seem to want to get the ogres to become Sivified. I know they're very powerful, but Kovic, who in the Splicer leadership is a pretty much mad scientist, a Splicer priest who is one of the head of the Splicers. So in the command, you could say you've got Axis, you've got Vosic, and you've got Kovic, But we wiped Kovic out to stop him from carrying out his devilish experiments. He ordered them, you could say, around the field. He was the head scientist, the one who would command the Fallen around, and, well, that's what they did. They hunted ogres and ripped out their eyes and destroyed them, you could say. But another thing I want to talk about is the Splicers' leadership. Before we go, even though we've heard this like 100 times. So, first up we have Axis. Yes, the big boss. The big man who's, well, the fruit of the Devil Splicers' labor. The one who's building himself, building the Devil Splicers, just rebuilding himself, and that's his job, to sit there, rebuilding himself, and wait for the offerings of Siva to build his army, and one day he will thrive towards the city. And if you look at Axis and look at the Devil Splicers, they're not just thinking the city, oh no, they're thinking much more. Worlds, stars, galaxies, high, vex, sword logic, to understand everything. He's thinking the universe. Then we have Vosik. Good old Vosik. Well, the first guy we defeat in the Wrath of the Machine. Now, Vosik, as an Archpriest, is the second in command of the Devil Splicers and will follow Axis in his ascending to godhood. Someday Vosik has been enhanced by Siva, but lacks the total apotheosis of Axis the Archon Prime. Vosik wields the technology to build, maintain a body for Axis, nothing more, nothing less. In due time, Vosik will ascend, all his people will, and worlds will fall, like I said. So Vosik's job at the moment, it's going to sound surprising, wait for it, is to build Axis' body. So the Devil Splicers are pretty much, they like to build things. Like, you know. So he pretty much sits there and builds Vosik's body. But we defeated both of them, Axis and Vosik's. Did I just say Vosik's body? Axis' body, but we defeated both of them, so he doesn't need to do that job anymore. Next up we have Kovic, and he is the Twisted One, and his twisted experiments in science is believed to be responsible for the Devil Splicer Siva field evolution, but his ambitions didn't stop with the augmentation of Fallen from ether-starved pirates to half-machine demigods. So pretty much Kovic is the one who turned the entire Devil Splicers into, the Devil Splicers, the one who are fueled by Siva. So he's like the head scientist and the crazy mad one who is, I'd say, very scary with the amount of surgery he's done on them. Next up we have Sepix, perfected. Now I already said Prime Servitor, well, is very important. So I have a cold today, and it's catching up a little. I had a call back and it's catching up a little. Is the Prime Servitor, the one who makes the ether and, has the ether and restores it to the entire house, gives it to the entire house, offers it to the entire house. Oh yeah, and about the offerings of Siva, you could say that's where they worship the Archon's Forge, and that's why we deliver Siva offerings, you could say. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but that's pretty much it on the Splicers' leadership, but we destroyed them all. So now the House of Devils and the Splicers are pretty much left with nothing. These guys really need to learn that we're just going to keep on taking out their commanders. Well, anyway, guys, that is it for this video today. If you like what you see this channel, don't forget to drop a like below. Comment down below to give me ideas on what my next little video should be, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video.